think when you tell your secrets, it gets rid of a lot of the stigmas that they have. And so for me, a lot of my things are, you know, I'm clinically bipolar. You know, I have a lot of insecurities, and you know, there's a lot that I'm constantly going through. So yeah, it definitely takes away the stigmas with them, and I think allows us to connect to each other in ways that we wouldn't. I think secrets sort of lead to guilt and shame in our culture, and I think those are completely useless. You know, they're things that, you know, are detrimental to a lot of people and inhibit so many people from living fully. And so my sort of goal in life is to dismantle that. I've done it for myself, and I've living such a much more fuller life than I was previously. And I think I found such beautiful connection with people because of that dismantling. And if I can offer that, you know, on a larger scale, you know, on this platform I've been given, like, I want to do it. Ribcage is one of my favorite colors of the record, and I'm really glad that we ended up putting it on. I mean, I wanted to do a song with Angel Hayes and K-Flay for a long time. K-Flay is one of my favorite rappers. You know, I discovered her a couple years ago, and then Angel Hayes did a cover of Same Love, and she talked about her perspective in the rap, which I thought was an awesome sort of turn for people to look and see, you know, a queer voice speaking in that point of view. And I was already a huge fan of her. I think she's one of the sickest rappers there are. Her verses are ridiculous. Her flow is like, she has such an incredible flow, and her writing style and her vulnerability, like everything. I just see so much of of my artistry too. Like, I just knew we would work well together. And she reached out to me. I can't remember who reached out to who, but it was like an instant, like, oh God, I like you, you like me, I like you too. And so this was sort of a conceptual track, but I wanted her on the record. I didn't know how it was going to fit. And I was actually thinking of having her in some of our parts, but I ended up doing that spoken word section in it. So, but for Ribcage, we started thinking about it, you know, at least atmospherically. Wanted to sort of be like, kind of like Marvin's Room, sort of ambient, like really digging just a completely different color from the record, and also sort of acknowledge my, you know, my spoken word background, and you know, that I come from, you know, a rap community. It was also during the time that I was experiencing what happens when you make yourself too vulnerable, or what happens, that the downside of vulnerability, at least in the public eye. I've been trying to figure out how to strike a balance of having enough for myself at the end of the day, to where I don't feel completely drained. Because if you give everything and you don't have anything left, it's more of a disservice. You're not able to really help or be an aid to people, and or at least what I want to do, you know, those goals that I have. I'm no help if I can't, you know, replenish my energy or my sanity at the end of the day. And I was put on the spot in an interview I did about my rape, and it came out of left field, and I just sort of, I answered it, and I just felt really, I felt really awful, and I felt like this is not your property. This is my story, and I get to say what I want, and I deserve to feel safe when I talk about my trauma. And it was like, it felt like things starting to creep in my life where people feel really entitled to your story or who you are, or, you know, especially when you allow yourself to be as open as I have, there's a danger in that. And and I think that danger is, you know, a lack of safety. And Ribcage for me is saying that, like, here it is, you know, I guess I've invited this, you know, putting my music out there. So there's a little bit of like bitterness in the song. It's like, go ahead, you know, open me up. I've already put it out there. So there was a little bit of anger in there, I think, after that moment. And I've since then sort of learned how to reclaim that space and say exactly what I need. And but Ribcage was a sort of an exploration in that. I wrote some of our parts from the place of where I am now, and I've lived the life of a survivor, and I've been very open about the trauma that I've experienced, and writing through that has been really cathartic for me. And I mean, that's part of the story of the record is, my last 2 EPs were confessional and sad and really gutted about where I was in each space. This full-length record is an exploration in the beauty and the joy of overcoming those things. And, I've spent my life overcoming really difficult things, and some of our parts is an awesome way to talk about it. In the same way that Secrets is, where I've turned the lens sort of on myself to say, I've gone through it. I know what so many people are experiencing. I know I see you. We can get through this together. It's sort of an extended hand. I hope people see it that way. It's because it's also inviting you to see yourself that way, and know that we're all in this together. I spent, at least for the track listing for me on Heart of My Sleeve, I spent hours on. I'm really careful about track listings. I was like that kid who made, mix CDs and thought so detailed about tempo and keys and feels and lyrics. You want everything to really be matched and to make sense. And the song right before Some of Our Parts is this really heartbreaking, emotional song. I cried throughout, recording the song. And Some of Our Parts is such an awesome end to the record, where it's the line is, we're more than our scars, we're more than the sum of our parts. And so to me, that's we've all been through something. Everybody's going through a battle, but we're worth more than all of that. We're all strong, and we can all prevail.